Welcome to Day Zero Update for September 1st, 2024. I'm your host, Chris Elogi.
I'm Brandon Perkins.
And I'm Jan Reb Victoria.
And yeah, it is the start of a new month. And with that, we have a ton of news. We have a bunch of games getting dates, a few games shutting down, a few bits of industry news, some good, some bad. And then we have the Nintendo Direct weird duo showcase that I don't know. They decided that they wanted to split these up, I guess, as two different showcases that air them back to back instead of just having one. But one was an Indie World showcase, and the other one was a partner showcase that had more third-party stuff in it, though still a few indie things here that I'm just like, okay, whatever. But yeah, before we get to all of that stuff, we'll talk about what we've been playing, and I will kick it off here. I've been playing some of this game that is on Game Pass called Core Keeper. That is on everything, I believe, at this point. It has come out of early access on Steam into 1.0. It's a game I've heard things about, but never really knew like what kind of game it was. It kind of seemed maybe more like a Roblox kind of thing from the way I saw some streamers I follow kind of talking about it. But I checked it out on Game Pass and kind of got the first-hand impressions of it, that basically it's Minecraft and Terraria style of game, but it's a top-down viewpoint. And at least the map I spawned onto, it has, similar to those games, just randomly generated world with a very long like seed number for it that is all underground. So you're kind of basically breaking through lots of walls of dirt or whatever it is. And so, yeah, kind of plop down in this area with a couple of machines and statues that the game does not explain at all what any of this stuff is, what you need for it, any of that kind of stuff. So kind of creates a lot of just, flailing around for a bit. In fact, I killed myself pretty quickly because I found out that digging through the walls, sometimes you run into these like bomb traps, I guess. That's the only thing I could see in this dark mass was this blinking red light, and then it blew up right before I could get away from it. Luckily, you spawn back at the main place that you spawn in from, and I was able to just walk over because it was not that far away. Pick up all your stuff, as well as like a tombstone that you get to go with it. But yeah, as I kind of explored more, it's Minecrafty in the way that you're using the triggers to attack walls to break them up. It has like Terraria style mechanics where if you're just trying to bust paths through materials like dirt walls and whatnot, it'll do a 2x2 like tunnel through it, where it'll break up one block and then the one below it, kind of thing. There's a lot of that kind of stuff, but as you're going around, you're exploring, you're picking up a bunch of items. Some are bespoke outfit stuff for your gear. So you have more RPG kind of gear to it, though. From what I've seen, no experience, no XP or anything like that. But as you do things, you get points into those abilities. So as I was running around, I was getting points for that. As I was, mining through walls, I get mining building up. And every 5 levels, it gets a skill point that you put into a skill tree, which early on you're just upgrading the first thing that's on it. Because I don't believe you can go further down until you max out the first one, which takes 5 points, I think. So that'll take a bit. But as you go, those different things will improve over time. So I can mine faster and have better chance at more metal ores and such. And it took me a bit to figure out how to even craft stuff because it's kind of quietly placed on your inventory screen to the left, and that's where you start building your first crafting table, and then that crafting table has a handful of items to build both equipment and other tables to do things. You get a furnace to smelt your ores and all this stuff, and then you get the ability to make the second big crafting table that then leads to another set of crafting tables. And there's specific house items you can make for building out these living spaces. And I have a dude that I beat the first boss, and he kind of appeared. It was like a slime boss, like a D&D type of slime. So it has, a lot of them have gear in them. And then, the boss had a human in it, so it was a merchant. So I just need to build him a space to live in, and then he can move in, and I'll have a merchant I can sell stuff to for a currency. But yeah, you're kind of exploring around, finding little camps of that have been like left behind. You can bust up those, and I've collected more treasure chests that way that I can use for storing stuff, as well as various bits of gear and all that. So I'm basically going around exploring for a while until my inventory is full, and then I have since gotten like a bag that you can craft that expands your inventory, and I assume you'll be able to keep either finding better ones or um, building better ones, depending on all these crafting tables you're making.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got my first pet because I found an egg, which has to be powered, which I figured it had to be powered somehow, but I'm starting to look at Wikipedia, or not Wikipedia stuff, but a wiki for the game to figure out like what the heck is powered. And it's like, oh, you have to go to this one table, and it has a specific table for electronics, stuff like that, and that's where you make a power source that powers that thing, which luckily does not require some specific material to power it. So I was able to just do that, and then had to wait for 30 minutes for it to hatch. So yeah, it's a lot of that kind of stuff. Eventually wandering around finding bosses that will help you out. The nice thing is that you don't have to craft just a ton of like pickaxes or whatever if you're gonna be mining a bunch of stuff. You get a table that is just for repairing equipment, and you can also reinforce it. That'll make it a little bit better and add essentially a second bar of wear to it so that you can use it for longer. So I've been doing that instead of making a bunch of the same type of equipment. So that is a nice little bonus. Though I also, when I had my pickaxe break, I essentially scrapped it and made a bronze one because that's one you can do from the second big crafting table. So yeah, kind of moving my way up as I get more materials to craft more advanced stuff and kind of moving around that. And yeah, you just have a bunch of enemies around. At least where I'm at, mostly slimes and little mushroom dudes that just kind of look like dick monsters. So it's a lot of basic stuff at first, and I found like some weird cows that are hanging out one part of the map that you can name and help them kind of get the stuff they need to survive. Though they seem pretty self-sufficient from what I can see. So the cows just drop a little jar of milk every once in a while. So I go back over in that area and I find a bunch of milk, which can be used for regaining health, and also I think giving you some extra armor for your for when you're doing some combat stuff. Which so far I've not really had too much trouble with that because I have a staff that I use to essentially shoot some sort of energy at various creatures when they attack. Nothing's been all that tough outside of the first boss, who's was a big slime. So the leaves some slime trails on the ground, which slows you down. So it was a thing that I had to kind of plan around when I was doing attacks at it to not stay in one place too long. But yeah, that's a core keeper. Seems pretty neat. I'll probably keep playing a bit more as I try to learn more about how it works and all that. So yeah, that's a core keeper on everything, but also on uh, Game Pass as well.
Mm-hmm.
Also got Vampire Survivors. Bought this on PlayStation when it launched the other day, along with all the DLCs since they had a discount for the launch for 10% off for PS Plus members. So I grabbed all that stuff, and yeah, right from the start, it has a ton of trophies to unlock. I think it's 221 total. I think 180 with the main game itself because they add at least a couple trophies or achievements with each update. So when you go to the trophy list, you see the main game has like 41 in it, and so there's 180 extra outside of that for the various updates they added, as well as for all the non-licensed DLC. As I found out in random like blog posts, they wrote up sort of the reasoning they don't do achievements or trophies for any of the licensed DLC is because there's the potential that the license will end and they won't be able to renew it, so they just opt for not having missable achievements or that kind of stuff, which makes sense. But I also don't think they would necessarily have trouble renewing licenses for like Among Us or Contra, but maybe that would be the case sometime. But yeah, the game's still a lot of fun. I've gotten like 20 some trophies already. And just basically doing runs, and a lot of the early stuff you would do is a lot of just get this weapon to at least level 4, last this long with these different characters. It's usually like 5 minutes, so nothing too tough. And as you do that, it unlocks more characters and more weapons that can show up when you're leveling up, all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, it's still Vampire Survivors. It runs well. Still looks good. Still has that weird thing where it's not running at a true 16:9 resolution, so you get the edges of the screen that don't have anything on it, really. I think they show a little bit of the area around it, but your attacks don't go there, and the UI does not reach there. I think that's just a core thing from when the game launched on PC and was built in, I think, I forget what it was. It might have been Flash or something like that, but just kind of a thing from then that has just stuck around in all these other versions. So that's Vampire Survivors, and my need for more of these kind of games. I grabbed a couple that were on sale in the last couple of weeks. Sky Survivors, I got this because it looked pretty neat. The screenshots kind of don't really convey the sort of game it is. Because it looked like a character that's sort of floating and flying around this area. But instead, it is a sort of 2D platformer, but in the vein of Vampire Survivors. So you're jumping on these platforms that show up as you get further into a run, and you're sort of jumping up them to get to these other areas. You'll find like crystals that will essentially float around your body and give you extra attacks that will happen against enemies, and you're sort of surviving, getting XP, and taking out occasional bosses. Like the first one that I ran into was a big giant moth character. That wasn't too tough, but eventually, you get swarms of enemies all over the place, and you eventually die. So I got the some currency that you spend on unlocking other characters or weapons to start with, that kind of stuff, as well as there's a skill tree of sorts to spend some of that currency on to upgrade stats. So they do that stuff. So, but and that kind of controls weird because you kind of get over to that skill tree part of the screen and it kind of gets locked in there. So I had to like pop out of that to the main screen and back in to be able to go pick the character and weapon I want to start with for the run. But it works out pretty well. It's a pretty good game. The art's maybe the weakest point. It looks all right, but it's not not anything. It looks like any, it doesn't look cohesive at all. Really, it just
Mm-hmm.
kind of just maybe looks like more placeholdery art. But and it's also weird that the like box art logo is not what's in the game itself. What's in the game itself looks like it's AI generated logo with some just weird looking versions of the title of like all the text letters in there. So that's weird. But also played Space Mercenary Defense Force, which is another one of these games. As you can tell from the title, it's more sci-fi oriented, maybe in the vein of Time Wasters on Steam, where you're controlling a spaceship that's running around killing enemies that are kind of swarming at you. And as you level up, you get these kind of weapons you can equip to the four sides of your ship that will do different kinds of attacks and all that kind of stuff. So once you get those picked out, you can then pick up upgrades that will change the way that those weapons work a little bit, or just improve them. You have different options for that stuff. But eventually, the thing that usually ended my runs is that at a certain point, they start introducing like hazards happening, which I think the few runs I did, it was like a almost like a lightning storm that was kind of attacking random areas every few seconds. I just happened to fly right into those areas and end up losing all my health. So, but that one still seems pretty neat from what I played so far. But I'll be checking that out some more. And then yeah, for the rest of the stuff, I played some demos that were on Steam that went up during PAX or Gamescom or whatever. But I played Afterlove EP, which is a game out of Pixelnesia. That is the developer of the Coffee Talk games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from the creator of Coffee Talk and What Comes After. And unfortunately, the creator of Coffee Talk passed away a couple years ago. So the rest of the team sort of kept working on this game and finishing it. And I think this will be out, I think, sometime later this year. I don't think they have a date yet. But this takes place in urban Jakarta in Indonesia. Yeah, it's like part visual novel, parts like rhythm game, as you are playing as Rama, who is a young musician who's part of this band that has a good name called Sigmund Feud that is playing a show. It's just a three-person band, and Rama's girlfriend Sinta is in the crowd, is cheering him on and all that. She's a big fan of the band, and after the show, they're going out to the bar to celebrate a good show, and Sinta is sort of not feeling great, ends up going home to rest, and off screen before the next time you see anybody else, you find out that she has passed away, and then fast forwards to about a year later, where the band is kind of separated for a while, and Rama has just been taking it hard, and starts this one morning where he's kind of come up with some ideas for a new song and sort of working on it before he goes out to do some errands or whatever, and ends up deciding to contact the other members of the band to meet him at the coffee shop, and seems to want to kind of get the band back together, but finds out that what's her name, Tasya has given him an ultimatum, essentially, that in 30 days they need to do a big show that could be a big deal for them, sort of really put their all in getting the band in shape for making a good run at it, and do a big show with an actual Indonesian indie band, Laufa. And so you're kind of, I guess, over this the course of this game, living out those 30 days and sort of maybe a Persona meets rhythm game kind of fashion of working on songs and hanging out with the band and practicing and all that. or else that doesn't come together, she is going to leave for another band and essentially end the future of this band. So kind of get a mix of that, but the kind of weird thing is that Rama's like inner thoughts are coming through Sinta's voice, his girlfriend's voice. So that's like the only spoken voice that I've heard in the game in the demo. Is hers kind of commenting on things, and he's like answering her from in his head, but physically in front of other people, so that the other people are like, "Wait, what?" He's like, trying to fix it into like an answer to something they said, kind of thing. But it's like he's wondering, is this her actual ghost or is this his imagination? There's talk of him going to therapy because he's still dealing with the grief of the loss of his girlfriend and all that. So yeah, there's a lot kind of going on here, but it seems like a pretty cool game. This demo's got a good bit of stuff in it. So yeah, that seems neat. Hopefully that'll be out this year, but we have not had a date yet, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, the rhythm stuff is kind of pretty simple. It's all D-pad stuff, just hitting up, down, left, right, and some holds in it from what they've shown so far. But yeah, this seems neat. And the last time I played is Wilmot Works It Out, the sequel to Wilmot's Warehouse, and where Wilmot's Warehouse was kind of very stressful kind of game as you're taking all these packages off the ship, off the truck, and kind of trying to organize them and then fulfill orders that need to go out as quickly as possible for the maximum amount of currency in return to spend on upgrades and such. This one does not seem to have that. Instead, Wilmot is just at home and he's getting this packages from this puzzle club that kind of works out in similar fashion to the truck, but it's not as many pieces. At least in the demo here, you get to finish 6 puzzles. You're organizing the puzzles in a similar fashion the way that worked in Wilmot's Warehouse. And once you get the pieces next to the ones where it needs to go, it kind of merges together. So you're kind of taking that together and kind of figuring out how to get all these together. And once it's complete, you can grab it and take it to the wall and place it on the wall in any arrangement you want. That's kind of a nice little chill reward. And I believe as you get further in this game and complete more puzzles, you'll just have more parts of the house to put stuff in. But every day you get a new package with new puzzle pieces. Though in this demo, it does not zip out and tell you like, oh, you're on day 2 kind of thing. It's just once you're done with the pieces that you're given, you just hear a knock at the door and it's like the post carrier shows up with a new package. But they do seem to have a bit of story for the post woman that's bringing your packages there. And meanwhile, Wilmot's just like, okay, I need my pieces so I can build my puzzles. Very simple kind of stuff, but it's got a nice chill vibe to it. So I'm definitely looking forward to this. And that's out October 23rd on Steam. I don't think they've announced any other platforms yet. It'll probably come to all the consoles at some point, but PC is their focus right now. So, but that's been pretty much all I've been playing. So, Brandon, what have you been doing?
Well, as for me, I finished the main campaign of Crosscode last night. And yeah, for all the difficulty that the puzzles were for that very last dungeon, and believe me, they were extremely difficult. These were puzzles that had a lot of moving parts that sort of brought in all the various bits and pieces that you've picked up through the entire game all loaded into one. And the very last one is crazy difficult. I had to do it at least 10 or 20 times before I finally was able to get it working correctly. But after all that, you end up going up against the last boss, and the last boss ends up being big and epic, but also kind of a letdown. But I managed to finish that, and I have the DLC loaded on, so I'm going to be doing that tonight. But the other thing I've played, and I might as well go ahead and put this on here, I did the demo for the Ace Attorney Investigations collection, which is obviously it's different from the base Ace Attorney games because you're playing Edgeworth this time around, and unlike in the other games where you're playing a defense attorney and you're trying to build up a defense where you try and break the other person's logic, holes in their story and all that, this one is more of a detective type thing. Mostly because you are, instead of first person, when you're exploring crime scenes, you're in third person and you're able to walk around and look at various things and all that. And also because there's the whole logic system that's working at where you'll find a couple different pieces of evidence, and then it'll be your job to take those pieces of evidence and try to find the connection between them. So for example, you walk into a place, there's a gun, you take the gun, you look inside the chamber, you find out one bullet has been fired, but you look around the room, you see that there's actually been 2 shots that have been fired. So you take that piece of evidence, that other piece of evidence, you click them together, and you come to the conclusion that either another gun was used or this evidence has been tampered with. So, it's sort of like that. And I mean, there are some of the other game sort of ideas that go with the other games, like you having to poke holes in a person's logic, sort of similar to how they do the thing with the testimony and everything, only this time it's not in a court of law, you're doing it outside of it. But that was only the first chapter of the first case, so there's probably a lot more to it. And other than that, for those you don't know, if you have the PS Extra or PS Plus thing, you can get the Kingdom Hearts 1.5 and 2. Whatever fucking title that is collection that has all the games up to I think Dream Drop distance. And so I've been sort of playing through the old Kingdom Hearts games again. Specifically, I've been playing Kingdom Hearts 2, and I fucking forgot how long that whole Roxas section takes, because god damn, it is so drawn out. Which is very funny, because I actually really liked the Paradise Island stuff that they had in the first Kingdom Hearts. It was actually kind of fun and mellow. The stuff with Roxas, though, just comes off as kind of dreary. And not nearly as fun or dynamic. Probably because it's almost entirely takes place in this city. But yeah, that's basically what I've been playing. So, Danner, what about you?
Yeah, the main game that I've been playing is still Madden NFL 25. Last week I talked briefly about how much I'm enjoying the franchise. Yeah, now I finally finished the first year of the franchise, and liking what I'm seeing so far. The main thing, though, is that the franchise mode is the main thing that was really worked on, and yeah, you can definitely tell after you. But the main thing, though, is that as opposed to the way it's been previous years, they really haven't changed much. They talk about being the head coach and going through press conferences and talking to various players about what to focus on in the game plan. But it's been there in previous years. It doesn't feel any different. When I compare it to college football, at least with college football, if you're using your Road to Glory players, you can just talk about make sure that you're studying this weekend and whatnot. And Madden doesn't really have anything like that. At the same time, though, just going back to things that I do like, it brought back the mini camp, training camp games that allow you to improve the various players on your roster by playing mini games. For example, there's the passing mechanic. So with it, you have your receivers running routes, and you want to be able to throw the ball at the right place with the targets in the field, and you'll have bonuses depending on if you hit those targets. And it's actually quite difficult. It's not exactly the same way as it was many years ago, but a lot of the games do come back. You have the ones where you have to run routes as the wide receiver and catch the ball at specific areas of the field. And if you catch the ball at the right part of the field, you'll get it, 400 bonus points and things like that. And it'll rate you from bronze to platinum. And if you hit platinum, not only do you like get to improve specific parts of your stats, but you're also able to improve your traits, which will improve more stats. So yeah, like when you're playing the franchise mode and you really want to, upgrade your players without playing any games, like this is honestly the funnest way to do it. And it's weird because like this is something that we've wanted back for years, and I think the last time we had it was Madden NFL 05, which was 20 years ago. So it's funny that they're using modes from 20 years ago in order to like, promote them as new. Like these are all old games, and like if you're obviously as old as I am and have played Madden for the past 20 years, it's like it's hard to say you're improving it by bringing something back that was years and years old. But obviously, like we have a lot of newer fans, a lot of newer football fans who are just getting into it, and yeah, it makes sense. But I'm just not a fan of saying something is. But yeah, I'm supposed to be playing Emio the Smiling Man Famicom Club. But it hasn't come, and I didn't get a code, so I don't know when to expect it. But they added the next chapter in the demo, and I plan on getting onto that soon. I'm also playing another game that I can't talk about, but Brandon also sort of talked about. So yeah, hint, hint. That's all.
All right, so yeah, let's get to some news, as we've got a bunch of stuff to get to here. First up, the September PlayStation Plus Essential lineup for the month is going to be going live here on Tuesday. We got 3 games here, particularly one we knew ahead of time. This was announced, I think it's Summer Game Fest, Quidditch Champions for PS4 and PS5. As that is a new Quidditch game. That's the first one in quite a while.
Long time, I think
like 20 years since the last one. This one is going to be available on PS Plus at launch, and I'm going to check here. Yeah, PS4 and PS5. You can play solo or play with friends. I believe it's 3-on-3 for that. So yeah, they'll have a career mode as well as multiplayer stuff for that. So you can check that out. So you don't have to directly give money to the witch that is J.K. Rowling. So there you go. Let's see. For the next one, MLB The Show 24 for PS4 and PS5, which is cool. Right as the season is going in its last stretch, people can check that out. The game is very good. So definitely it's the first one where you can play as a woman in Road to the Show. So yeah, there you go.
Awesome.
Pretty cool month. I haven't played MLB The Show, but yeah, Harry Potter Quiz Champions seems like it could be pretty fun. I heard they changed a lot of the rules to make it more gamey, but yeah, looking forward to trying that out without giving some money.
Yeah, and the last one here for PS4 and PS5 is Little Nightmares 2. So you can check out that one before the new one comes out. I don't think they even had a date for that. That's opening night live.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I haven't played any of those games. I do want to try them out. I don't know if the original one is available on the service, but it's good to have part 2 there.
Yeah. So yeah. There you go. Some solid stuff. Let's see. What else we got here? Oh yeah, Foam Stars is going to be going free to play on October 4th. Which it probably should have been from the start. Because all of the mechanics in it for unlocking stuff and cosmetics and all that was designed for free to play. But instead they got a deal to be on PlayStation Plus and then charge $30 to buy the game outright after that, which is not great for a game that is as heavily focused on battle passes and limited time, events for cosmetics and a cosmetic shop with expensive stuff on it and all that. So yeah, the game itself is still pretty good. Just not one that was good enough to survive the transition from being on PlayStation Plus to people having to pay to access it. So that's the big issue. But they are making that transition here on October 4th, the next month. So that'll be interesting to see if that picks up. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't go free to play in the first place. I know when it came out, I didn't hear much about it. Like nobody in my here's their.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Speaking of free to play games, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius The global version is going to be shutting down on October 30th. This is one of the mobile Final Fantasy games. I believe I played a little bit of this back in the day. It's been around, since 2016. Just one of those games where it's like, you can unlock every Final Fantasy character and probably a bunch from other Square Enix games to play. And it seems like the Japanese version will stay in service, but the Western worldwide release just probably ran out of steam at a certain point for them, and felt the lines probably fell below a point where they're like, okay, it's time to cut this loose. So it looks like they are done selling all the various currencies in the game. Sales of Lapis, sales of bundles, and then the end of service will be on October 30th. They're going to have events going on through the end of that time. I like this part. After app service has concluded, all player accounts will be deleted. So there you go. So let's see. Also happening the next day, a game is going to come into life. Clock Tower Rewind. For PlayStation 5, PS4, and Switch.
I think it's like a remake of the original Clock Tower, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a remake. Yeah, it's a remaster of the original game. Which was a Super Nintendo game that I believe might have gotten a PS1 port. But very much a classic horror game that was probably pretty rare because I don't think it really released outside of Japan, outside of people that imported it for that stuff. But the sequels ended up coming over here.
I know the PlayStation game was like pretty good seller. Because it came out like right around the time when like Resident Evil and Silent Hill was taking off, so there was this whole new sort of survival horror thing going on. So they cashed in on this old franchise, and it ended up taking off.
So this one, if you don't know this, it features I think the character is literally called Scissor Man.
The original Scissor Man.
Which is a little dude with giant scissors that chases you around. And it's kind of happening in concurrence just with the game existing, so a little bit like what would become Mr. X and Nemesis.
Basically
these guys would just kind of walk around and look for you.
It basically happens in real time, and the thing is that he can literally pop out of anywhere. So, and it's like completely randomized. So,
So you have to anticipate that and like hide under a bed or in a closet or something. Try to hopefully avoid alerting them, which is like a whole sequence in Deadly Premonition, that kind of thing. But they've done all the localization and all that. I don't think they have U.S. prices here. They mentioned the yen for that, but I think they'll announce prices pretty soon. Xbox and PC seems like it'll be announced at a later date. This adds a lot of extra features and such, like a new animated opening, motion comic cutscenes, and a vocal theme song. Some new original or enhanced mode, which features numerous gameplay additions and quality of life refinements. Art gallery, music player, behind the scenes creator interview, save states, and other modern inclusions. So you can check all that out on October 31st. So there you go. And let's see. Also coming out, November 7th, Taiko no Tatsujin Rhythm Festival is finally out of the Switch exclusivity 2 years later. This game will finally be coming out to new platforms. That'll be cool. Demo's out now, so you can check it out. It'll be priced at $49.99 for the standard edition, and a special edition that costs $80, which includes a couple extra music packs, anime songs collection, Namco game music pack, Pops Collection and Vocaloid song. There'll be a bunch of that. I believe they may also be releasing new controllers. Yeah, Hori's releasing dedicated controller for the game. There's like a PlayStation version that works on PlayStation and PC, and an Xbox version for the Xbox and for that. So that's cool. Those games are really fun. They're going to support 120 frames per second on the consoles, as well as some new music, collaborative music here, which I think they mention in some of the teaser stuff that they have. What Mega Man music I think is in here. What else? Yeah, they're doing some more stuff like that. So
yeah,
that's cool to see.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool game to play. I think the only time I ever actually played it on console was when it was on Game Pass last time, and I had a lot of fun with the anime mix. So I'm happy to see that coming back. I don't know if it's coming to Game Pass again, but yeah, that's definitely something I really enjoy, and I do want to eventually try that controller too, because I've only played on the
game. Yeah. I think I had a controller for the game for the PS2 maybe, back when they released it there, which is kind of a wild controller to have. But yeah, let's get to some more news. Another game that's shutting down, Blue Protocol. You might realize it never came out, and that's because it seems like it was so terrible in the Japanese beta stuff they've been doing.
Yeah.
That they're just like, there's no point in trying to salvage this.
Yeah.
So the Japanese version will end service on January 18th. And yeah, the Western release that was going to be published by Amazon has been canceled. So there's your big Bandai Namco sort of failure to get this off the ground. Because yeah, it looks like it launched in Japan on PC June of last year, and then PS5 and Xbox in December of last year. And yeah, it seems like they're just going to finish up what content they were working on and then shut it down. So yeah, there you go. That's another one of these games going away.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like the big MMO boom that happened after World of Warcraft took off, and there was just a ton of those games that came out, and then pretty much all of them are dead.
Yeah,
all of them. There's like a bunch of them, a few of them are still alive, but like pretty much all the other ones are just dead.
At least all the ones that wanted to charge money for it.
Yeah.
A lot of them went to free to play.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only one that didn't was Final Fantasy XI. That one's still charging for all of it. So
yeah.
So there you go. Let's see some more news.
Yeah, it's just hard for these kinds of games to take off, especially like the Japanese ones. I'm seeing here that they enjoy this strong relationship with Amazon Games, and like Amazon Games hasn't been profitable in a long time, and they're definitely going to cut where they can. They have games like New World coming out that they hope can be able to rekindle a lot of what's lacking in the MMO free to play space, and it's tough. I've heard a lot of good things about Blue Protocol from the Japanese crowd, but like again, it's just really tough to find the numbers in this climate, and I'm guessing it's just because they didn't really see them internationally, which makes it an even bigger risk to come out here because just ads are expensive, and obviously like we're talking about like console games, tough too, especially when
yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
But let's get to the out of nowhere news. Argonaut Games has returned.
Yep.
And they're doing that so that they can do a remaster of Croc, Legend of the Gobbos. Which was maybe the first 3D platformer out there.
There were, yes and no. There were 3D platformers before that. The two closest that you had were like the first Crash Bandicoot game. But the thing was with that, of course, is that even though it was technically 3D, it was still, fairly straightforward. There was another game called, trying to remember, I think it was called Bugs or something. And it was also a 3D platformer, but the difference was that all of it you could only go like north, south, east, and west, and that's how the thing was, that's how all the stages were designed. So you couldn't like go diagonal, or anything like that. Croc was, and then this Croc game suddenly comes out, it was more or less one of the first, and then Mario 64 came along and completely ate its lunch. So
yeah, like the biggest thing was that as you mentioned, like Croc was like one of the earlier 3D platformers, even predates Mario. But like what really separates Mario, aside from the fact that it's Nintendo, it's their bread and butter, is the fact that there was no equal to the control stick. So if the DualShock was available like when the PlayStation first released, maybe we're talking about like a little bit more variety here. But no, that wasn't a thing at all. And it's weird having having Croc come out, especially since we've seen revivals for Aero the Acrobat and a whole bunch of other mascot platformers. And the funny thing is like they're all bad. So I don't know if there's like a renaissance because people are buying these.
The sort of the rumor that people have been sort of talking about for years involving this game is that so originally the developers were actually making a Yoshi game, which is why the character, the character is technically supposed to be a crocodile, but if you look closely, it's like you can almost see Yoshi. And supposedly what happened is at some point, sort of Nintendo decided to sort of take their ball and go home, but they sort of took some of the ideas that the developers for Croc were making. They ended up putting that into what would end up becoming Super Mario 64. But obviously that's just a rumor. But so it's definitely a blast from the past. I'll give them that.
Yeah, and the screenshots for this just looks real weird on the texture front.
Mm-hmm.
The world, because it almost looks like they used AI to upgrade these textures for whatever resolution this new version is going to be at.
Mm-hmm.
Because they just look like super clean, but also super flat looking.
Mm-hmm.
In a way that I'm like, I don't know if this looks good or not, even though it's super clean and all that. And they do describe it as Croc Legends of the Gobbos, Argonauts 1997 multi-million selling hit.
Mm-hmm.
Features Croc, a lovable crocodile who embarks on a quest to rescue the Gobbos from the clutches of the evil Baron Dante.
Yep.
Like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Multi-million selling hits. So there you go. That'll be interesting to see. Looks like this will be out potentially later this year for all the current consoles and PC. So that's cool. It looks like they'll have a bunch of digital museum stuff, development assets, and game design docs, concept art, animation tests, interviews, and such. So that could be cool. Maybe not worth whatever the full price is going to be, but that's still looking neat if you want one of those. So there you go.
Yeah.
But let's get to some more interesting news that Remedy Entertainment has signed a partnership deal with Annapurna to help fund Control 2, as well as potentially some more transmedia content for potential Controller, Alan Wake TV shows or movies, which seems like a solid choice because Annapurna is probably more likely to agree to this kind of deal, especially if they get the to produce the potential TV shows or movies. And not want to just own Control outright and steal it from Remedy, which has been an issue for them over the years with their various properties. Some of which they've managed to get back, like Alan Wake from Microsoft, and some that they haven't, like Max Payne. But they're co-financing development of the game. They'll finance half the development budget. Remedy will remain the publisher of Control 2 and states that above all, it means Remedy is able to make Control 2 exactly the game we want it to be. So that's cool. So yeah.
Awesome.
It's definitely a cool move, especially considering the fact that, a lot of the properties Remedy has are just awesome, and they definitely would translate well to TV shows and other merch and stuff like that. And if you ask me, like, they really need it. Alan Wake 2 was a Game of the Year contender last year, and that game is still not profitable. And when it's not profitable, what happens? Places close down. So they gotta find a way to make some of that.
Yeah. So yeah. There you go. More good industry news.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like Hideaki Itsuno is leaving Capcom after 30 years to work on something new.
Uh-huh.
As he says here, let's see, I have an announcement for all my followers. This is on Twitter. At the end of August 2024, I'll be leaving Capcom after 30 years and 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for your long-term support of the games and characters I've been responsible for. I hope you will continue to support Capcom's games and characters. From September, I will start developing a new game in a new environment. I hope to create fun, beautiful games that are as memorable as, or even more memorable than the ones I have created so far. Please stay tuned for my next creation. Which, if you don't recognize his name, he directed the Power Stone games. He directed Automodelista, all the Devil May Cry games after, starting with 3. Devil May Cry 3, 4, 5, as well as the Dragon's Dogma games for that. So, yeah, a big deal for him to go out on his own, but seems to be the Capcom ways. A lot of these big names sort of strike out on their own that are they're forced out. But yeah, be excited to see what his new thing is.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm gonna be honest. I don't really know or have played a lot of what he's known for, but yeah, it's always in my opinion anyway, it's always a cool thing when you see someone leave, at their own accord and be able to do something else. The problem though is that like a lot of people who have left Capcom and have like these big names haven't been able to do much since. But at the same time, it's like I think they're also yeah. Hopefully he does cooler things.
Yeah. So yeah. There you go for that. Let's see the next one here. As we start the negative news front, Raven software workers have filed a complaint with the National Labor Relations Board against Microsoft and Activision Blizzard. The complaint accuses both of bad faith bargaining and concerted activities, the latter of which can include retaliation, discharge, and discipline. Yes, they are. They're filing this as they are attempting to strike a collective bargaining agreements with Microsoft and Activision Blizzard. It's unclear what provisions they are hoping to secure with this new contract, but it seems like Microsoft and Activision Blizzard are just trying to stonewall them for whatever reason. As the CWA says here, after Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard, our members were optimistic that they would progress quickly to a first contract at Raven Software. Fortunately, that has not happened. We encourage Microsoft to address the concerns raised in the unfair labor practice charge and make reaching a fair agreement a priority. Seems like they've been sort of stonewalled and have had to file a complaint to try to get them work on a fair deal. But it seems like they, in the complaint, Microsoft said it remains committed to negotiating in good faith, even though they've had these issues over the last few months as they try to work on a deal. So, yeah. There you go. Let's see. Next up here, we got some layoffs at Visual Concepts.
Yeah.
This is their third in the last year.
Yeah.
These are at Visual Concepts South, who, let's see, Orange County-based developer. Seems like it hits particularly the art, production, and engineering departments. No idea how many, as I think all of these layoffs at Visual Concepts have not, said how much, how many people are being cut. But yeah, this team mainly worked on Lego 2K Drive as well as some of the NBA 2K games. Their previous layoffs were of Visual Concepts Austin in February, and then in September of last year, they laid off staff at its Austin studio that were working on Lego 2K Drive. And it says here, in each instance, 2K didn't provide an explanation for the cuts or the next move for Visual Concepts and its many subsidiaries. Disappointing, but it seems like how things are going, especially for these studios that are working on big games all the time. So yeah, there you go.
I was just going to say, it's another tough story, obviously.
Yeah.
With what we've seen from publishers, especially big ones that have IP, it's kind of even if it's good, You don't know what'll happen, and we'll talk about the next one.
Yeah. The probably one of the biggest surprises of the week is that NetEase Games has cut all but a handful of jobs at one of their subsidiaries, Oka Games.
Yeah.
Which just finished Visions of Mana for Square Enix. They're planning to close the studio, which is wild to do for a developer that just finished a big project. But it seems like this is part of a whole thing that like NetEase and I think Tencent also put out statements about this where they're kind of more uneased working with Japanese studios, saying that they were going to sort of reduce their investment in Japanese studios, which seems to coincide with them shutting down this one. So they were working on Visions of Mana, so it seems like if you're expecting any further work on that game, I guess, that is not going to happen, most likely. Because it seems like that's a game that the general sentiment is it's pretty good, but it's not where maybe you would have liked to return to form for like some of the early games in that series. But it's more like a lot of the recent ones where it's like there's some good stuff and then there's some stuff that's like, eh.
Yeah. I mean, like, to just talk about Visions of Mana real quick. I talked about it on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. This was a game that I was really excited for. When it was first unveiled at the Game Awards last year, I was like, wow, this game is absolutely one of like the best looking game Square Enix has made in a while. You know, of course, you know, they have Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth, and those look tremendous. But like Visions of Mana look like another step forward for the series. Trials of Mana is actually better than a lot of people give it credit for. So that being said, I thought Visions of Mana would definitely follow suit. And when I played the demo, I just wasn't very impressed at all. The main thing that I didn't like was the fact that the lip syncing just was not in sync at all, and a lot of the combat just felt barren, and the side quests just felt equally as barren. And I was like, uh-oh, this just might be 40 hours of a whole bunch of nothing. And I have the game. I haven't popped it in yet, but like the reviews from people that I follow haven't been very positive. That sucks. That being said, like, you know, it's unfortunate what's happening to Uka Studios. You know, the article said that they've been laying off since the spring, and obviously, like, that was behind closed. You know, as someone that's been on a team and, you know, shipped a whole bunch of games, like, you're supposed to look forward to the game coming out. Like, you're supposed to be able to celebrate that. You're supposed to be able to, like, you know, look at all your coworkers in your team and be like, yeah, we released that. Like, you know, it doesn't matter how good or bad it is, but, you know, having a game like come out is supposed to be a big deal. But knowing that, you know, you've lost a whole bunch of people along the way, and then you probably are going to be gone too, like, you know, a week or two after the game comes out, is just, it sucks. Like, what do you do? Like, I don't know how well this, obviously, it's a mixed bag as far as its reviews go, but this is still an IP that has a lot of fans. This will by no means be the last Mana game. Just sucks knowing that there's no sort of security here, and, you know, the people in charge aren't even like American. Like, this is a Chinese company, and it just goes to show, like, what kind of, I mean, like, what exactly are you expecting? Like, Square Enix over the last few years has reportedly, or they've always talked about reporting disappointing results, like, basically for any franchise they've had, whether it be something that came out of, like, you know, Crystal Dynamics with Tomb Raider, who are now gone, and then, you know, even Final Fantasy Rebirth. It's like, okay, what exactly are you guys expecting? Like, you're not making a game that requires microtransactions, and at the same time, it's like, I'm pretty sure this game's not 70, it's like 50 or 60, and it's like, okay, it's still going to be disappointing. So, like, what is there left to do, and, like, how do you avoid this? Is it budgeting better? Is it making sure that your reports are better? Because, you know, like, at this point, if we're going to keep on shutting studios down, whether or not the game is good, it's like, why don't we just do contracts? It seems like everybody is just going to do a game and do some other game at some other studio, and it's like, there's just no real reason to be excited for what's coming next, because you don't know if you.
Yeah, it seems to create a weird environment there, and I wonder how much of this also deals with the way that the yen in Japan has kind of tanked lately, which reduces the value of these investments that like NetEase and Tencent and other companies have in Japan, especially when it comes to payroll and all that and income. But I don't know. It's certainly not a great one because I think PlayStation just increased the price of a number of their PS5 consoles and accessories and all that to make up for it.
That's absolutely unheard of. Like, the cost of stuff is supposed to go down, not up. Like, I don't know how like you would even be able to absorb that in America. Like, if the PS5 all of a sudden raised in price, like would it does make sense, but would it be accepted? I don't think so.
Yeah. So yeah, but yeah, like Sony and Microsoft are headquartered here in the U.S., so the dollar has mostly been fine for the last like 4 or 5 years since the pandemic. So they haven't had to really worry too much for that stuff. But everywhere else has kind of had fluctuations up and down, mostly down in some areas. So that has kind of created this weird scenario where these companies aren't willing to just take losses if they don't have to. So yeah, that's that stuff. Let's get to the next one here. The developers of A Dustborn, Red Thread Games, put up a big statement on their Twitter, condemning the hatred, the harassment that they've gotten around the release of their game Dustborn. That has come out on all the consoles and PC. Is very much a game about their diverse cast of people that essentially use I think a lot of like buzzword type stuff for hits combat systems. So you have the ability to trigger people and use these kind of buzzwords as ways to get back at hateful people, which these kind of shitty people have used. Like, oh, this is actually recommending this stuff to marginalized people, and it's like, what? You're just looking at it without any context. Like, I guess that's how you can go if you're just going to argue in bad faith, but also that's not how it actually works. It also seems like a game that's pretty flawed. Not always great, but one that still has some cool stuff about it. People have looked at like the concurrent users on Steam for it, so that's not great, but also it's a single player game. It's not one that has to have high player count, especially if there are people on that that are not on Steam. You're not going to see that stuff, but seems like it maybe came out at a bad time as far as reaching an audience in the middle of dozens of other notable indie games and big stuff
possibly
coming out in August that has buried them a bit. But yeah, they've put out a big statement on Twitter. Basically saying things like here, we expected Dustborn to spark conversation and debate. I look forward to engaging with our players in a positive, constructive fashion. Fortunately, that conversation has been drowned out by a tidal wave of hate and abuse. We welcome thoughtful feedback and respectful criticism. We embrace discussion and debate, but we have zero tolerance for hate speech, harassment, and threats of any kind. Those who engage in such behavior will be removed from our community, as well as many other things. But that post on Twitter, they blocked the comments or made it so that it's only people that are mentioned can reply, which essentially blocks comments. But you can go look at the quote retweets and see a ton of hateful stuff being said in there. I think similar stuff is happening with Concord, as it also has a very diverse cast of characters, and it's one's not done particularly well. So people use the Steam concurrent users count to send shitty messages to people that work on the game, as well as fill up the Steam forums for the game with tons of awful shit. I believe I even saw that the developer's own Discord was filled with gore images. So reasonable things to post on a developer's channel. So very cool.
It's Twitter. What do you expect?
Well, Discord. Lots of bullshit over the the continual actions of Gamergates, modern Gamergates here. And yeah, this is just more awful shit happening as the result of this dumb culture war that's continued to go on. Especially with no real big companies coming out to speak against this. Unfortunately, you don't get the big platform holders sticking their neck out for the various indie devs working on these games. Not even Sony on their own game. For that, at least not publicly. That would be nice to see at least. But yeah, awful situation. Hope the best for the devs. But yeah, there you go. But yeah, let's get to some brighter news. We have some Nintendo Direct showcase stuff. We'll kind of move through this stuff pretty quickly, but we have the Indie World Showcase that was first with a bunch of stuff on it. We have Balatro getting a new update called the Friends of Jimbo update, where they have partnered with a number of other games to include decks for these. I think these are all cosmetics that don't change the gameplay. Just change out the face cards with their own characters. So you have one for The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, Vampire Survivors, Dave the Diver, and Among Us in this. So that's pretty cool. That update is out now, so you can check it out.
Yeah, I've never played Balatro yet, and I know Filippo spends his whole life on that thing. But as you mentioned, these are just it's just art, right? It doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, looks nice. I know Among Us has been doing a lot of collaborations as of late, and it's really cool seeing the indies work together in that regard.
Yeah. Do you guys want to guess how many hours Phil has on it?
I don't.
I just looked at what it is.
I don't.
You give me an over/under, and then we'll just guess over and under.
I'm not going to try. I don't think that there is a number that has been calculated by mathematicians yet that could calculate how many times he's played that game.
Well, I will tell you, in the last 2 weeks, he has spent 27 hours, just to give you an idea of how much he has probably played it since launch earlier this year.
Is he playing it less or more often than he has?
Probably pretty consistently.
Okay.
He's also playing it right now, so.
Gotcha. I was gonna say 7.
Okay. 567.
Okay.
Which is a lot more than my 40 hours.
There, I have 1,100 in Animal Crossing, so I'm pretty sure he'll pass that soon.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a game you can check out. I definitely recommend if you like poker games, especially ones that get weird.
Yeah.
So there you go for that one. Let's see, we got an update on Neva. That's coming from the developers of Greece. That is, the game is coming out October 15th on everything. PS5, Xbox, Switch, and PC. So that's, looks really nice.
Yeah, Neva is absolutely gorgeous. This was one of the games that I liked the most coming out of Summer Game Fest, and I can't wait to get my hands on this. But I've never played Gree. I did see that it's $4, so I'll probably get it.
Yeah, that one's on sale all the time, so that's worth checking out. Let's see, next one up here, we got a game called Moth Qubit. It was on the Switch version. Will be launching next spring. They describe it a Kafka-esque satirical pixel RPG. I think is also an Undertale style RPG.
Yeah,
just having a lot of different segments going on, and a lot of weird stuff going on throughout it.
Yeah,
as I believe there's bits where the character grows and shrinks, and gets into a lot of little weird situations. Especially some that might be more meta, but there's even a DDR segment kind of thing. So yeah.
Yep.
It looks pretty cool as far as the way it breaks genres. My main thing is I don't really like bugs, but I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, that'll be out next year. Let's see. Next up, Coffee Talk Tokyo. They announced that they are working on a new game. It's coming to everything: PS5, Xbox, Switch, and PC sometime next year. And this one's set in Tokyo, so they are working with some Japanese translators and kind of getting the vibes right. So yeah, that looks neat.
Awesome.
I enjoyed the first 2 coffee talks. That being said, I don't think we need any more. It's really chill. I don't know if you guys have ever played the games, but it's fun listening to their conversations and their problems, and just guessing the kind of coffee that based on their needs. But yeah, I mean, the main thing that'll get me back into it is if they make a lot of Japanese influenced coffee.
Yeah. So yeah, seems like they might have stencils for the drinks, so you can do that stuff.
I think they already did. I may be wrong though.
I don't know. They're definitely highlighting it.
Okay.
Maybe some new versions you can do. I don't know. But yeah, let's see. We got new DLC for Sea of Stars. Throes of the Watchmaker. Oh, I guess this is free too. Okay. I did not realize that. That'll be out spring 2025. Yeah, looks like, let's see. Solstice Warriors venturing into the miniature clockwork world of Orloge. Okay. Seems like a big weird area.
Yeah. This was definitely a huge announcement. I absolutely loved Sea of Stars. It was one of my top 10 last year. It was easily my independent game of the year. And yeah, definitely looking forward to this one. I don't know whether, obviously it's story DLC. I don't know whether it'll matter if you got the good ending, because the good ending to that game was really hard to get and I didn't do it. But yeah, I'm interested.
Yeah. So you get a new robot buddy, which definitely did not look like the robot from Chrono Trigger. So yeah, there you go. Let's see. Next up here, this is the one I was kind of most weirded out by, because this is an Indie World Showcase, and this is published by Square Enix.
Yep.
Like, maybe they shouldn't have been here, but Power Wash Simulator's next licensed DLC is Shrek, the Shrek Super Pack. Special pack, sorry. So yeah, they're going to be adding, let's see, 5 new maps. I think most of this might be from the first game, or for the first movie. Duloc, Hansel's Honeymoon Hideaway, Shrek Swamp, Fairy Godmother's Potion Factory, and Dragons. Okay, so yeah, more stuff to clean, which is weird when it's like a swamp, but okay.
Yeah, Shrek Swamp is pretty dirty, so they're gonna have fun cleaning that.
Yeah, it looks like somebody's put a bunch of, I don't know, paint all over it. I don't know what this is, but yeah. There you go. That'll be fun. That'll be out this fall at some point. Let's see. Next up, a new top-down roguelike shooter, Morsels. Looks like very much a gross kind of game coming to PS5, Switch, and PC next February. That looks pretty neat from Annapurna Interactive. So, yeah, this is from. Okay, this made a lot of sense after seeing this. That's the first game from Frucula, Frucula, led by Toby Dixon, the former lead artist for Atomic Crops and Nidhogg 2. Which is like, oh, this game, the trailer definitely had vibes of Nidhogg 2. That kind of art style. So, and it also has the composer of Grindstone and Reigns Beyond. So, Grindstone has a great soundtrack there. So that'll be cool for this game. So yeah, there you go. That'll be out early next year. Then we got an update on Date Everything. We talked about that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's a dates visual novel game where you get to date everything in the house, or almost everything. Like it's mentioned, like at least 100 dateable characters, including Text Box Sean, as they called her, a humanoid version of the text box.
Yep.
So kind of the game itself, but yeah, that'll be out October 24th as we get more interesting games coming out here in the fall.
Let's just make sure that.
Yeah. Let's see. We got Peglin is coming out, or is already out for the Switch and PC. Out now. Timed console exclusive. If you've not played this is like a roguelike RPG version of Peggle or Pachinko kind of thing. So, yeah, that's out for $20 now. So you can check that out. Yeah, it seems like it's exclusive until probably early next year when PlayStation, Xbox versions are out. So hopefully not for too long, but yeah, that's one you can check out. Also coming out for the Switch in December is Wobbly Life. This is one of those kind of physicsy open world games that has been out on PS4, Xbox One, and PC for a while.
Yep.
So Switch is finally getting it. And yeah, it's just kind of one of those games you can play with up to 4 players online or local split screen and do a bunch of weird little things. So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got Pico Park 2 for the Switch. It's out now as a timed console exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of a side-scrolling, puzzle platformer game. Yeah, that's also out on the Xbox and PC, been out for a while, I guess. Yeah, it's available now on the Switch for $9. Yeah, it's kind of one of those games. So yeah, looks neat. Then we got Shovel Knight Shovel of Hope DX. They announced this a few months ago that it was coming to consoles and PC, and Switch is the first console that we've had announced. It's still no date on it, just 2025. But I assume it'll be announced for the other stuff as well before then. So there you go. Got to see a little bit of that in action. Then we got Europa, which is out on Switch and PC October 11th. Seems like there's a demo for the Switch out now. This is, let me see here. Yeah, you're exploring the moon Europa, a lush terraformed paradise in Jupiter's shadow. Android named Z sets out in search of answers. So yeah, you're kind of exploring. This kind of has a Studio Ghibli kind of vibe to it. The art style and all that. So that looks neat. Then we got Cuisinaire for PS5, Xbox, and Switch. January 28th, it'll be out. This is from Xseed Games, and it's a food-focused roguelike action game. As you're kind of running a shop and doing some fighting and all that to, I guess, get the ingredients, I'm guessing. So yeah, that looks pretty interesting. Let's see, and then we got On Your Tail finally coming out November 21st. It'll be Switch and PC. It's a life sim, narrative adventure game kind of thing. Published by Humble Games, an Italian studio, Memorable Games, with a lot of like furry style characters to it. So.
Yeah, I've actually been looking forward to this one.
Yeah,
when I saw it, when they showed it, I think late last year for the first time. I thought it looked really interesting, and it still looks really interesting. So yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be out. And then they ended on Pizza Tower being shadow dropped that day on the Switch. So people can experience the fast insanity of that game. So yeah, there you go. I didn't know the developer. This is called Tour de Pizza.
Yep.
Makes sense. The opposite of Pizza Tower, just in Italian. Yeah, they're going to have a physical and collector's edition version of this. You can sign up on Fangamer's website to get notified when it's ready for that. But yeah, playing as a character named Peppino Spaghetti, a very racist name. But yeah, that was the Indie World Showcase. I cut a couple things that already had dates and whatnot. But yeah, let's get to the Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase. They started off with a banger, Tetris Forever. This is a new digital clips collection of Tetris games. This will be coming out to PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC later this year. Celebrating 40 years of Tetris. Has more than 15 playable classic Tetris games. And an all-new one called Tetris Time Warp. We get some of the original games. This was the first version of Tetris on the Electronica 60 computer, a Russian computer, or Soviet computer at the time. Before Nintendo managed to make a deal with them to put it on the NES and Game Boy.
Yep.
But yeah, it includes a bunch of games in it, including Tetris Battle Gaiden, which was only released in Japan, but was sort of a competitive Tetris game. That the people that did get to play it were really liked it. Though it's also very unbalanced, so maybe they do some extra work on that. Because that would be cool. But Tetris Forever has a bunch of stuff in it, and they kind of hang on that and said the NES version is going to get released on the NSO NES app this winter, so people will be able to check that out later this year.
Yeah. Also, looks like you'll get a version of the original, the original version that was distributed on old Soviet computers.
Yeah.
Which is that's gonna be hard as shit, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is an announcement that is both awesome and weird.
Yeah.
This is going to be my hot take, so I apologize if you're triggered by it. But I mean, isn't all Tetris the same? I don't really understand the appeal of trying to of playing all the different kinds when at the end of the day you do the same thing, except for the fact that maybe they'll handle a little different, or maybe some games don't have the automatic drop. I just really don't see the appeal there. But Time Warp does sound interesting in that regard, what I just talked about, where if they feel a little bit different, that's cool. The main thing that appeals to me is the fact that you get to see all the history and stuff, because I don't know if you guys saw the Tetris movie on Apple TV Plus, which sensationalizes the whole thing, but I thought it was really entertaining. So I look forward to hearing the real story there without reading about it. And my other disappointment is Tetris Theory is not here, which I know was different.
Yeah. So yeah, the 15 games, they do not all play the same. I think Tetris 2, the version they have here, plays pretty differently. Yeah, there's Bombliss, that is it's like a bomb version of Tetris that can blow up chunks of it. There's Super Tetris 3, which I forget what that one is. Tetris Battle Gaiden is a multiplayer game. Sort of like your classic Puyo Puyo type of puzzle games. That kind of stuff. I'm trying to see if I can find a list of all of it. There's Hatris. I forget what else was on that list. All these people are just copying the press release so they don't list each one. Yeah, so yeah, there's a bunch of different ones that try to do different things. And I imagine a lot of the reasons for specific ones not being on there is publisher rights on some of that stuff, because a lot of these games have been published on various publishers over the years, and some of them probably not either don't exist anymore, or just don't have the rights to those games anymore. These ones might just be old enough that their rights reverted back to the Tetris company, or they are just unable to get them. Yeah, there's Tetris for the Electronica 60, Famicom Tetris, Hatris, Tetris 2 plus Bombliss, Super Bombliss, Super Bombliss DX, Tetris Battle Gaiden, Super Tetris 2 plus Bombliss, Super Tetris 2 plus Bombliss Limited, Super Tetris 3. So that's 10 of them. But yeah, hopefully we'll see more of them get announced. But yeah, we'll have to see how that goes, because that's a pretty cool bit of history, because Tetris is a game that's kind of evolved a bit over the years, especially with relation to things like the T-spins and all that kind of stuff that have been part of the core moveset for a while. So yeah, that'll be fun to see that. Yeah, let's see what else here. Star Overdrive got announced. This is from Caracal Games. I forget who else they worked on. Oh yeah, Downward Enhanced, Martha's Dead, Okuna Ka Madness. This looks neat. It's like an open world action adventure game, a big sci-fi universe kind of thing, where you have a hoverboard that you can customize to get around, as well as fight creatures and all that. Has a nice look to it, so that looks neat. That is out next year as a timed exclusive on the Switch. Then we saw Goat Simulator 3 for the Switch, which looks pretty bad compared to the other ones, because they're porting a PS5, Xbox Series X game to the Switch. Then we got another big surprise, just kind of a throwaway announcement. The Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky, the first. That saw 10, 15 seconds of it, and it just kind of went away, and it's like, wait, what's this? This seems to be a full 3D remake of the original Trails in the Sky. with the more action-oriented combat of the more recent stuff. And seems to only be on the Switch, or at least just that's the only version that's been talked about right now, because I don't think they really put out any sort of press release info on this yet. So it might be just waiting until TGS to do a full reveal of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, obviously, Brandon and I are both going to say a bunch. You want to go first?
Yeah, first and foremost, what the hell, Nintendo? Why do you decide to drop this on a friggin' sizzle reel? But other than that, yes, I am very excited for this. I will definitely be buying it when it comes out. Unless I can find it in other ways, hint, hint. But yeah, I love the fact that they're essentially going back to the first game and sort of designing it along the more modern lines of how the games work. Because I'll be the first person to tell you, I am someone who loves and adores the Trails series now, and I'm very open about that. But it took me a while to get into the first Trails game, because the first Trails game is a very slow start. And the fact that, it was originally a PSP game, when they transferred it over to Steam so you could play it on PC, yeah, it showed. But, the game does get better, and, then, of course, ends on one of the most infuriating cliffhangers in the history of gaming. But, yeah, it looks good. I would love being back in that world again, and I would love to replay this particular game. I'm going to guess that it's not just going to be like a 1-for-1 remake of the original. They're probably going to add some new stuff in there too.
Oh yeah, because what it needs to be is longer. This is the only one of these I beat.
Yeah,
and I would say it's very much a classic kind of side quest RPG, because you just get a bunch of these jobs. You're like, oh, I'll go do this as before I do the main story thing.
Oh, that's basically every single one of the first games and the arcs of this series.
Yeah.
They're all like that.
Yeah, and it's very much a PSP RPG.
Yeah,
in that you're just kind of looking around everything. It's very limited in visual style, but it all looks good. But it's just like a classic style of RPG. But yeah, it's just like, okay, I'll get this. I just need to go get 5 of these things for this person for their mission, and then do this, and then kill these enemies, and then this, and I'm like, all right, I've done these 15 things. Now I can move the story forward. And it's very explicit about that, at least.
Yeah, but at least this way, like, it definitely looks visually far more appealing than the original does. This one screenshot where she's out in the field and you can see the airship flying overhead, like, yeah, that's the type of thing I'm looking for in one of these games. And yeah, I mean, the original, the original game story was, it's not the best story in the game series, but it's definitely a good one. And I would not be surprised if, and like I said, I would not be surprised if there's adding additional content, and if some of the dialogue is being, not necessarily rewritten, but fleshed out a bit more. But yes, I'm definitely excited to play this.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Brandon, like, this shouldn't have been relegated to. I'm sure the reason why is more, spend the budget in order to get it there, because this game was actually announced a few minutes before it was announced in Japan, and because in the Japanese Direct, they had a full-blown like it wasn't like super long, but they actually had a narrator talking about what the game is. Versus us, it was in the sizzle reel for about 30 seconds before Star Wars, and yeah, like, everything Brandon said is on point. The main thing is that, we're definitely going to go to bat for this series whenever it gets talked about in any news story. But, like, the main thing here is it's gotten to a point where I would say enough RPG fans know what it is, but the fact that they want to start at the beginning but don't want to get a PSP or play it on Steam is a huge thing that makes it. Whereas now, you have the game come on the Switch, which is more accessible next year. And yeah, they're going to be able to find a bunch of fans that way. And not only that, next year, we're getting this game. We're getting what's it called? Daybreak 2 in early. And we're probably going to be caught up to a point where Kai is going to come either early 2026 or end of 2025. And like we're looking at 4 Falcom games next year. So yeah, like big ups to Falcom for finding a way to get us caught. And yeah, I'm looking forward to everything. We don't know much about the translation yet. From what we've seen in screenshots, it looks like the XC translation. We don't know who's going to publish it in America. Because when it was announced, I talked to people in NIS America. They had no idea. They're excited. XC doesn't respond to anything. So yeah, we don't know who this is going to be brought in by, and we don't know if they're going to like recast. Back in the PSP days, like there was no voice acting, and obviously that would really enhance this experience. And yeah, like it'll probably be a little bit long, but I would expect Falcom to sort of retcon. Like for example, Van Arkwright. No one knew who the hell Van Arkwright was back in like Trails 1, even though he did exist and he did take care of certain in this game. And yeah, like the world building, like you were talking about the side quest checklist, and like that sort of is this series as a whole. But again, like Brandon and I have talked at length about it in multiple Day Zero updates. It's the world building that really separates this game from like just about any other series there. Like you can talk about how annoying some of the side quests are, but being able to like do one side quest, all of a sudden find out that the most minor character in the side quest was all of a sudden in Trails Through Daybreak making a name for himself. I'm talking about the guy who made the acerbic tomato. Like he shows up really awesome and things like that. Like things like every character in the game has a name. Every character has 3 separate things to say in every chapter. This is the kind of stuff that I'm really looking forward to seeing new audiences. And yeah, like Brandon said, get back in. The one thing that does worry me is that this was originally a top-down 2D game, and there were some points both in the story and in the gameplay that I think perfectly done in 2D, and I don't know get the same kind of feel that we have in 3D. But from what we've seen, and if this is intended as a Switch, I mean it should be as a regular Switch release. Like it looked good, like it looks done, and I'm hoping that it doesn't become a super buggy game like we've seen like some of the Grezzo games or some of the Pokemon games. Yeah, this is easily the biggest announcement for both presentations to me. Yeah, as soon as it was announced, like my day was pretty much over. Like I got up at 6:30 a.m. They announced this. I was gonna go back to sleep, but I just couldn't. I was just scrolling any more information we can get on it. But yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah, the weird thing is like that game on Steam is not verified for the Steam Deck. So it might work luckily, but I don't know that it directly works on the Steam Deck.
It does work. It's fine. It doesn't have the check mark, but I haven't had any.
Okay. I remember trying to download some of that stuff, and I was like, "This one does not work." And I'm like, "Oh," because I think the second one works fine, and then the third one's verified. And I'm like, "This seems like a dumb thing to do with your games on Steam," but okay.
Yeah,
that's outcomes sometimes.
So
yeah. But yeah, let's get to some more stuff here. The Stalker trilogy is coming out in November for the Switch. So people can check that out. Let's see. There's a Worms Armageddon Anniversary Edition for everything. That's out September 26th, so really soon. That's a remastered version of the 1999 Worms Armageddon that was on like PS1 and Dreamcast and PC and all that. So yeah. It also has a fully playable Game Boy Color version of that game. So sure. And an interactive museum with some interviews and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. There you go. New good Worms game. It's just one of the old ones. Let's see. SpongeBob SquarePants, the Patrick Star game. It's coming out October 4th on everything. Then we got a new Fitness Boxing 3. Your personal trainer. This is the only Nintendo game here, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'll be out December 5th, right before the holiday.
Yeah. I've never played any of the Fitness boxing games, but like when I saw this in action, I'm pretty sure the last 2 were like that too. When I saw it, I was like, this game is fun. I want to try it out.
Yeah, there's a Fist of the North Star version of one of these games.
Yeah.
maybe Hatsune Miku as well. So yeah, there's various flavors of those games.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fitness Boxing featuring Hatsune Miku's available on Best Buy right now for $50.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, when I saw it, I thought it would be like Wii Boxing, where it was just like super waggly, but like just the footage, I was like, okay, it just looks more involved.
It's just a rhythm fitness game. Yeah, pretty simple stuff. But yeah, they also have music in it, so that's a weird thing. Let's see. The first game's soundtrack has "Girlfriend" by Avril Lavigne, "Call Me Maybe" by Carly Rae Jepsen. Yeah, it's that kind of pop music thing.
Yeah.
"Sugar" by Maroon 5, and "All About That Bass" by Meghan Trainor. So,
All About That Bass makes me want to box for sure.
yeah, games about sex. Just put it in your rhythm game. So there you go. But yeah, let's see. Capcom announced the Capcom Fighting Collection 2, which seems to just be here's the rest of this shit that we haven't put in anything yet. There's both Capcom versus SNK games in there. Capcom Fighting Evolution, which I believe, I forget if that one's Street Fighter Alpha 3 Upper, Project Justice, which was definitely a 3D fighter, one of those early 3D fighters. Power Stone 1 and 2, and Plasma Sword Nightmare of Bilstein. So yeah, they're just putting a bunch of random stuff in here.
Yeah.
The Power Stone games seem like the big inclusions, as well as Capcom versus SNK, since people have been wanting more of the crossover stuff, but it seems like they'll have online play for all the 8 games, including rollback netcode, training mode stuff for that, bunch of museum stuff and all that, so that's nice.
Yeah, I'm like usually not big on collection. Capcom has been doing a wonderful job with just putting them together. The Marvel one that hasn't come out, Punisher in there, and then obviously with this one, for me it's Power Stone. Power Stone is janky as hell today, but I had so much fun playing, be able to jump back into it. And I'm not sure if the rollback netcode will affect that game, but this is definitely one that I want. It's unfortunate because last week Best Buy had the buy 2 get 1 free for some Best Buy members, and wow, it ended right before a direct.
Yeah. So yeah, that'll be coming out the PS4, Switch, and PC next year. And then they gave an update for Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics. That's the other collection that just has a bunch of the Marvel Capcom games. That'll be out September 12th, so in about a week and a half here. That's also for PS4 and Switch and PC. With all the same kind of improvements here. Rollback netcode, online matches, training modes, and all that kind of stuff. So you can check that one out pretty soon. Let's see. Then we got Atelier Yumiya, The Alchemist of Memories, and The Envisioned Land. The thing I know about that series is that their titles are all like that. Atelier, the character name, then some subtitle. You get ampersand, more subtitle. It's all like that. And this one seems to be about seems to just focus on a girl with big boobs. The box art literally just has her upside down with her foot in front of her crotch, with her big boobs sticking out underneath. So,
yeah, I mean, like the last game was about a girl with big thighs. Yeah, that's the thing with that. And I don't know, with the Atelier games, they've been around for so long, and I really want to like them, but the alchemy part of it is to me so I think I know how to play the game 6 hours in, and all of a sudden it just is off base because it just seems so kiddie. All of the dialogue seems like at the same time it's why is this so hard to play? I don't understand.
Yeah, they're a very particular style of game that I guess just must sell enough that they don't really change it. It's we just make a new setting, a new character, new story, and that's it. It must just do well enough like a Dynasty Warriors game. They don't really make too much in the way of changes, and they don't even go on sale all that much for much of a discount, so they must just sell well enough. So yeah, that'll be on everything early next year. Then we got a date for Suikoden 1 and 2 HD Remaster, Gate Rune, and Dudan Unification Wars. That'll be out March 6th for every platform, so You can check out that stuff. Yeah, let's see. You get the pre-order discount with some extra in-game currency and a couple of orbs to let's see, equip it to double the experience gained by a character and double the potch gains. That's the currency. So yeah, there you go. One of those classic PS1 RPGs that people have been wanting to come back. Konami figured it out so that people want it, so now they're offering it.
Yeah.
I mean, like when I try to promote Trails, I often say that it's pretty much modern day Sweden. Yeah, like this, I'm happy to see it further modernized. I don't know how much more they're doing, but yeah, this is definitely good.
Yeah. We saw a little more of Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake. Particularly that they're adding a new vocation called Monster Wrangler. Which means you'll be able to catch monsters to control. So, which is a common thing in those games, at least the later games in the series. But yeah, there you go. That'll be out November 14th. Let's see.
Yeah,
we got another. Go ahead.
I was just saying, finally happy we're getting a date on this.
Yeah. Then we got another Konami surprise here, Castlevania Dominus Collection. That is a collection of all the DS games. As well as Haunted Castle, which is the sort of precursor to the Castlevania series that was an arcade game that wasn't particularly good, but they brought the original as well as a revisited version. And yeah, they've basically taken all the DS games and essentially, like the way that you would do it in a DS emulator, you kind of put I assume the top screen was the main one. They make that the main focus and then have the bottom screen on the side, as well as some other information there for whatever you need. And yeah, so play them in a little bit of a weird way, but that's what you get. They're all out now for $25 for the collection. I'll probably just wait for them to go on sale because I wasn't huge on the series on the DS, so I never checked them out. But yeah, there you go. Let's see. Then we got to see more of Sid Meier's Civilization 7 on a Switch, which looked like a Civilization game on a Switch. So
buyer beware.
Yeah, that's February 11th. Then we got another old RPG, Tales of Grace's F. I don't know which platform the original game was on. But yeah, Tales of Grace's F remastered.
It was PS3.
Okay. For some reason, I thought it had to be PS3, but the visual style looked like a PS2 game. I was like, maybe this is just one of those games that they didn't do a ton of big focus on making it look really good. I was like, well, just make it look cheap. That'll be. But yeah, that's one that's coming out. Let's see, January 17th, so early next year. We'll take the roll of the die on whether this is a good port from Bandai Namco or not.
Yeah, I mean, Tales is supposed to be enjoying a anniversary, but the remakes or not the remasters for these games have hardly been remastered. I mean, like for Symphonia, the game doesn't even reach 30 FPS and regular 60 on the GameCube. Graces, as you mentioned, yeah, I know a lot of people are mixed on the last one. What was the last one called, Brandon? You beat it, Arise, and I don't know. I thought that one was fine. Like I think the main way to really celebrate the series is have a new one or actually remaster one of these classic ones. And so far they've been bad. So, I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, speaking of old games that people may not have ever wanted, but My Sims Cozy Bundle, EA has remastered 2 of the Wii games in the My Sims series, put them together. Let's see, My Sims and My Sims Kingdom. That'll be available, I think, only on the Switch November 19th. So it has kind of a different art style to it. Maybe a version of the like Animal Crossing style. With everything being kind of square edged, kind of. The characters are all kind of have square heads to them. But yeah, it's nice to bring in something like this back, but I'm surprised it's not on everything. But oh well. Let's see, we got some Five Nights at Freddy's stuff. Help Wanted 2 is coming out this holiday season for the Switch, and Security Breach, some new DLC called Ruin has come to everything this holiday. Let's see, yeah, they talked a bit about Disney Epic Mickey Rebrush, which is already have a date, September 24th. That's on everything. We got to see more of Tales of the Shire, the Lord of the Rings game.
Yep.
See more of that Switch version that still doesn't look great, but that's out this holiday. Just Dance 2025 edition. It's on everything. That's October 15th. Funko Fusion, which I thought had a date, but maybe the Switch version, maybe the console versions don't. Because there was a demo on Steam that I never got to start. But that's not a free-to-play game, in case you did not realize. That is a $50 game.
I think Funko Fusion it's not out in 2 weeks, so I guess the Switch version is just later.
Yeah, it's out on PC September 13th. I don't know what all the dates for all the... Okay, PlayStation 5, Xbox, Series X and S, and Steam are the 13th. This is saying here November 15th for PS4 and Switch. They didn't put that in the direct, so I don't know what.
Yeah, buyer beware.
Yeah, there's a demo on Steam. I might check it out just to see what the hell this game is.
Yeah.
I thought it was one thing, and then apparently it's a $50 game.
Yeah.
Which I guess is one way to get around the licensing stuff is, I don't know. Maybe it isn't. Maybe being free to play with stuff that's, I don't know who the hell is putting this out. Universal. I don't know.
It's a developer called 1010 Games. The only reason why was because I applied for a job with them.
Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of weird. It's not free to play where you buy the characters you want, but they're forcing them all on you. So.
Yep.
Let's see. EA Sports FC 25 out September 27th on everything. Lego Horizon Adventures they showed off again. That's still out this holiday. No dates. We'll probably get a date at EGS maybe. Then we got 2 games to the end of the show. Rune Factory, Gardens of Azuma, which is coming to Switch and PC next spring. Which looks pretty good. Very anime. So there you go. It's kind of more feudal Japan kind of looking areas with big dragons. So
yeah,
there you go for that. And then they revealed that Yakuza Kiwami is coming to the Switch October 24th, so people can finally play Yakuza on the Switch. $20, and they get to start with the original Yakuza, or at least the remastered version of it. Not starting with Yakuza 0, which is interesting. I think it puts to rest what Sega thinks the first Yakuza game people should play is.
Yeah, that is a pretty curious decision.
But yeah, Yakuza Kiwami, pretty good version, but is this weird period where they put out, I think, Yakuza 0, Yakuza Kiwami, and Yakuza Kiwami 2 that I think are all on different engines, which plays out how you would think, where they all kind of feel a bit different, have kind of different combat to them a little bit. But yeah, you'll be able to check it out on Switch. So yeah, enjoy. Somehow I missed it
because it's one of it was. I mean, this game was my introduction to the series. So
yeah, I had a very weird intro to the series, which we'll talk about some other time. But yeah, like I think one of the reasons why this game is finally on Switch is because one of the head honchos created Yakuza just said that the Switch was just mainly for kids, and he's not there anymore. Sega's like, all right, he's gone. Let's make some money, guys. But luckily, $20 is a very fair. I would argue that it should be like 10, like in 2024. But yeah, 20 for the Switch tax makes sense. I would love to play the games on Switch, especially since the platinums are, to me, unattainable. Yeah, it's definitely a cool way to end the episode.
Yeah. So yeah, that's cool. People would check it out. $20 seems fine now because it's a Sega game. It'll go on sale.
Yep.
Like those bundles they had of the 1, 2, and 3 remasters are like, it's real cheap now on PlayStation.
Yeah.
And PC. Same with the 4, 5, and 6 bundle and all that. The other ones that haven't dropped as much are the recent ones, the Like a Dragon ones. But those are all newer, so that's to be expected.
Infinite Wealth is $25 right now.
Yeah, I'm too busy spending $10 on Skull and Bones on the PS5.
Support Ubisoft.
I was like, sure, I'll spend $10 on a physical version of this dumbass game. So yeah, that's going to do it for the show this week. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to Brandon and Danner for joining.
Always.
Yep.
We'll be back next week as more games are coming out. Astrobot will be out this Friday.
Oh yeah.
That
one.
Yeah, there's that. Let's see where my schedule wrote down. Yeah, Quidditch Champions is out. Star Trucker's out this week. Stalker 2. Oh no. Yeah, that's the old version. That was when it was supposed to come out the 5th, but that didn't happen. Ace Attorney Investigations Collection's out this week. So yeah, that's some fun stuff for people to check out. I'm gonna check the Wikipedia list of games releases here. Let's see, August. There we go. Yeah, the casting of Frank Stone is out this week. That's the Supermassive Games version of Dead by Daylight, that universe. Prison Architect 2 is listed on here, but I think that got delayed. Age of Mythology Retold is out this week.
Yep.
Let's see. Yeah, oh wait, what's this? Oh, the Fitness Boxing featuring Hatsune Miku is out this week. The Western release is out. So there you go, Danner. That's your entry into the series.
Awesome.
Make sure you play that in front of everybody.
Yeah. Take pictures.
Yeah.
I gotta buy my cosplay first.
Yeah. Astrobot has some stiff challenges this week as they are out the same day as Arrow the Acrobat 2. The PS5 version of El Paso Out Elsewhere is out that day as well. So that's a cool game if you're into the Max Payne style of thing. And I guess NBA 2K25 is also out.
Yeah.
So
I'll never understand why they always want to put out NBA 2K 2 weeks after Madden. Like, it's not time yet, guys.
Yeah.
Because people spend money on that right now.
Yep.
That's why. And they're like, oh, we're done. We don't exactly do that much different every year. We change a couple things, change a couple controls, and that's it. And just like, give us money. Go into the actual in-game casino, spin the thing to see if you get any good bonuses for the day, and then you go run around and play people and whatever multiplayer stuff you want to do.
Right.
So yeah, that's your thing to not spend money on it. So there you go. Thank you all for tuning in. If you enjoy the show, for let friends and family know, and select strangers who are also excited for Astrobot and hope that it does better than Arrow the Acrobat 2. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Hope you have a good week ahead. It's a holiday week, Labor Day tomorrow.
Yep.
Where many people will still be working because that's fun. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Hope you have a good week ahead. We'll see y'all next time. Have a good one.